Good evening. It is Wednesday, January the 6th, 2021. It's about 8:32 p.m. Central Standard Time. Welcome to the open house in week one of Introduction to Corrections. I'm Professor Richard Wright, and there are many in this class who don't know me, but you're going to learn a lot about me and from me in the next 5.5 weeks. And the reason why I say 5.5 weeks is today is the 6th, and on the 9th of February, which you'll see in a little bit, that this class actually ends. So it is pretty fast. So I'm going to spend today pretty much just going over the expectations. I won't necessarily do all the things that I usually do every week. Every week I'll go over the assignments, which I'll do that today, but also the topics in there. I'll briefly cover them. So I'm going to start out by sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's move this up here. All right. And so you can see on the course homepage, that's a page that you'll be able to gather a lot of information that you really need to know. And I encourage you to become familiar with it because it will help you in terms of some basic stuff. Starting out with instructor information, that's yours truly in that picture, and you see me on the video. And you'll see that my phone number is 630-660-8480, which is this number right here, my cell phone. And I said the way you can reach me, and this means what it says. It's not just a cute phrase. Students can call me, text me, or email me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. You figure that one out. When you text me, please be sure to include your name as well as your the reason that you are actually reaching out to me and what it is you need help with. Now, I encourage students to use text frequently or call. Email is the slowest. And so if I have something urgent, something that's going on, don't tell me, says, oh, you know, I had a problem I was having and I sent you an email. I might not see it right away, but my text, it will send a message to my phone, my call, of course, and please leave a voice message. And oftentimes I will call back. I have called students as late as 3 in the morning when I'm up working, or either I've called students when the phone will ring and I'll wake up and I'll answer it. My wife says, you act like you're a first responder. I said, well, I am. If a student calls me that late, that means that they must really need the information right away. And try to refrain from sending me or calling me on Sunday about assignments that are due in an hour or two. You should let me know if you have an issue before that. Of course, if the issue just comes up, let me know. I'm one of the most available professors that you're ever going to have. I have never been guilty of students saying that they couldn't reach me. I had a few students that sent messages saying they couldn't reach me, and the administration to the college, now university we're called, took issue with it because they know. And I say what I mean what I say. I'm very firm and stern with what I do, but I'm fair. You'll see as we proceed through discussing the expectations. Rubrics, notice they're highlighted. It is so important for you to do rubrics. I'm going to talk to you about my rubrics tonight. And actually, they're not really my rubrics. They're the rubrics that the school put into the course. And I at first didn't like them, but now I've become familiar with them. And I tell students, I says, if you don't follow the rubrics, then you will probably not do well in this class. And there are students who have failed this class because they will not pay attention to the rubrics. They'll look at the module, but they won't pay attention to the rubric. And I'm going to show you the process. I have some things. Everything is not in the rubric, but for all practical purposes, if you follow the rubric, you'll get a high grade every time. APA, some of you may not be familiar with APA, but we utilize that system. And I provide resources in this class on this page to help you, which will be coming up. And also I encourage you, if you need help, get tutoring done. And just a thumbnail sketch of it, it's a cover page for all written assignments. I'm not talking about discussion posts. A cover page, a citations in the body about topics, issues, about sources that you use, and not or, and reference page at the end. Double space, not single space, that you're given a quote or something like that, but your paper should be double space. Your margins should be accordingly. I think it's 1 inch around on each side. If it's less than that, then you're going to run into a problem. Make sure that you have the proper amount of information. Roman 12 is the font. There are people who want to use big font because they think that covers the page more. You'll still get nailed for that as well. And so you're going to be able to get help with APA if you need it from tutors. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Your papers should also contain critical thinking. Critical thinking involves you not just copying the materials that you research, but also analyzing the material, breaking it down, demonstrating that you've given some thought. And critical thinking should apply in discussion posts and all written assignments. It is so important that it is one of the transferable skills that I'll be talking about in a few minutes. And so it is so important, critical thinking. I am a natural critical thinker because those of you who took the time to look at the student lounge, you saw my background of being a lawyer. I went to law school, and so I learned the Socratic method, or was learned using the Socratic method, so it makes me a natural critical thinker. I don't want you to make you into lawyers, but I want you to be critical thinkers. And employers want you to be critical thinkers. And that's why we call them transferable skills. And so these are very important points for you to remember. All right. I'm not going to go over them every week. And then this is a reminder that you are required to conduct research for all papers, which means that the sole source of your paper should not be the textbook. You will lose 2 points. And don't rely heavily on the textbook. We have a good library resource center for you to be able to provide. And I'll show you in just a few minutes where you can find that. And I already just told you a few minutes ago about APA, then the cover sheet as well. Now, here's some helpful resources that you can check out. One of them is the library. And for some reason or other, it used to be able to click on it, but you can right click on it and open the link and you'll see it. Go into it. It tells you about how to search for articles, books, and so forth. If you hover over these, this tells you about guides. Each school has a guide. School of Justice Studies, click on that. And there is research, database, writing, APA, tutoring, and everything that you need. Bethany Marston, who's the Learning Center coordinator, helps a whole lot. And Dennis Johnson, the gentleman on the left, is our librarian that's assigned to help students in criminal justice. And so you can chat with him, schedule an appointment, and then there are all kinds of resources available utilizing various kinds of social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, and others as well. And then there's some information here about how to find information. One of the sources that I highly recommend that students who were paralegals brought to my attention is a source called FastCase, which leads to cases, statutes, regulations in all 50 states as well as federal. So if you click on FastCase, and it leads you to FastCase, and it explains it and helps you to find answers to your various questions, and then you can learn more about it. So I encourage you to consider FastCase as well. Okay. And if you hover over any topic, APA, you click on that, and it opens up this, and it leads you to a lot of information, including details, stuff that would help you to understand APA as well. Tutorials, ebooks, noodle tools, webinars, YouTube articles, writing guide, and then there's a new student guide that can help you as well. If you need technical support, personal support is the place to go. Here it is right there, 24/7, 365 days out of the year. This is just one way to reach them. You can call them. Somebody said, "Oh, but it's late." 24/7, holidays, or you can email them and they will help you with your various issues there as well. Okay, so you have all of these sources that can help you out. All right, so there's guys. Then there's some tutoring information as well as what you just saw a few minutes ago. Included here are articles that you can click on and open them up. They're PDFs that will help you with writing tips, going beyond the textbook, and dealing with helping you with critical thinking, getting out of your comfort zone. These are things that can help you. Analytical tips that will also help you. Importance of information literacy. Information literacy is one of our critical skills, transferable skills that you'll hear me talking about. And we want you to use credible sources to support your statements, not just any information. There is one source that will get you really, really messed up and cause you to lose a grade, whether it's a discussion post, whether it's a written assignment, and it's a no-no. Anybody know a source that you should never use to or cite or use as a reference? Type it in the chat box if you know. I know you've heard of it. Anybody want to take a guess? Give you a minute or so. No takers? Anybody in this room or in this class ever heard of Wikipedia? Yep. Never use it. The reason is because it's very unreliable. It's a word-based system and can be changed by anybody. But yeah, it has some good information. I'd say it one more time. Do not use it. It's not credible. Okay. Referencing for criminal justice. Remember we talked about references. You don't have to worry about annotated bibliography. You won't be dealing with that too much. Then there's a video that you can copy and paste and put in a browser relating to dealing with critical thinking. This right here is something that I emailed to each of you. Normally, what I used to do in the past is I would, in open house, spend about 45 minutes talking about this. Adversity is the springboard to success is my story. And I want you to take the time to look at it. It's about an hour and some minutes. And you could look at it here, or you could look at it with the email that I sent you. And here's just a sample of how it works. If you open this up, it'll take you to the YouTube video, and it's going to start in a second here. And there it is. That's me. Okay. And I want to take the time to share something about myself that I want you to be aware of. And it is the reason why in each of your announcements, at the end, I say adversity is a springboard to success. And I'm just going to tell you a little story about it and put it in perspective for each of you so that you'll each be able to understand more about your professor. Okay, I'm coming out of that because it's an hour and some minutes. You can listen to that on your own. Students say, well, okay, I recommend you listen to it because it tells you a lot about me, why I am, and how I became successful with the challenges. And a lot of times students have told me, they says, wow, they were amazed at what I went through to get to where I am now in life. And so I will definitely encourage you to check it out. Oh, okay. Thank you. And I was just getting ready to say, I encourage you to share it. Because see, people don't understand sometimes when they run up against bad situations. And if you've looked at the whole thing, you can even put it on your television and look at it. It is a story of a person who today, I'm 70 years old. I stay that in there, but I don't look 70 years old. I don't feel 70 years old. Well, I take that back, my muscles and bones. But anyway, excuse me, but I'm doing fine. I'll be 71 though, May 3rd. So that's going to be an old year there. But I encourage you to pay attention to that. I've had students who felt like, oh, I just can't. I don't believe in that word. And I don't let people stop me from doing something that I believe that I can do. And you'll hear the story itself about how I rose from a very bad situation to becoming a lawyer and police officer, investigator, paralegal, and then a pastor of a church, a father, a grandfather, the whole 9 yards. Anyway, so take time to check it out. Your rubrics, as I said earlier, are in each written assignment, and then your discussion posts have a general rubric. Now, let me talk about discussion posts so I can just get it out of the way. Each week, you will have a discussion post. Did anybody see the discussion post for this week? If anybody told me they saw it, then that means they were in the wrong class. You don't have one this week. They decided not to put it in week 1. But starting in week 2, you'll see it. So we'll table that until we get there next week. Okay. But no, I can actually tell you. Discussion posts are due on Tuesday nights, initial posts, and reply posts Saturday nights, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. As you already know, or should know, or will know, soon learn that your written assignments are due on Sunday nights, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard. Discussion posts are our method for communicating with each other as students, you guys as students, and also me with you as well, and engage in discussion on topics each week that change. You should be aware that each day that your discussion post is late, you'll lose a point. If you submit a discussion post by Saturday night, listen to me, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, you might lose points from Tuesday through that, but then I'll allow you Sunday, that next day, to submit a reply post, but you will lose 1 point. The discussion is technically over, but I do that with my students to be fair, and it's given you basically, it's my discretion to be able to do that, and that's where I've been doing it for as long as, well, I don't know, it's been a few years since I started doing that. If you submit both your initial post and discussion post Sunday after that Saturday it's due, no points. I don't care how eloquent or how good it is. Oh, professor, but I had a problem. I'm sorry. I'm not going to allow it. You got to get it done. Discussion posts are so easy to do, but make sure that you don't give a brief answer and things like that. So again, discussion assignments start next week. I'll remind you next week again. This is our schedule for lectures. So 8:30 to 10 tonight, roughly, and we may go to 10 and we may not. But starting next week, we will also have Wednesdays, and that will be 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Notice that there is no week 6 lecture. Okay, so when I get to week 5 lecture, I will talk about the topics for week 6 as well. So that begins next week, okay, because the open house is today. You must attend the lecture and give me your key word. Even if you don't attend, you still must give me your key word or phrase. I say it at some point during the lecture, and you need to listen to it very carefully. Don't be guilty of listening to the lecture just to get the key. You better listen to it so you can get the information that will help you with your assignments, because I promise you, you'll goof up because I make sure I cover the rubric in my discussions. So notice you're going to have, so this week, your assignments are not due until Sunday. So class just started on Monday. So today is Wednesday. So you'll get the information that will help you, and you still have time to get that done. Now, each week you'll see under the recordings the lectures. And what I do, just for your information, is I convert my lectures to MP4s and YouTube videos so that you can not rely on WebEx. sometimes the system doesn't work well. And you can also look at it on any kind of mode. Okay. So now let's come over here and see this announcement. This is the announcement that requires what you have to do for week 1. Students are expected to meet attendance requirements on or before the 6th day of the start of the quarter. That means complete one or more of the following: posting in discussion forums, which you don't have that; posting of required assignments, will have that; completing course quizzes, you will have that; and exams during weekly deadline. Discussion posts in the student lounge area are encouraged, but they don't count as a daily activity. That just helps us to learn about you. Here's the APA assistance. Again, I showed you one way. You click on this, and it takes you to what we call the APA toolkit, and it helps you as well. Okay. The writing process. Here you can follow the steps there of that. And then the academic integrity video. Now, I want to take a few minutes and go over this with you. Now, actually, if I go to resources tab, I can do this, and we can do it this way. Let's see, did they take it out of here? No, here it is right here. So I'm going to click on this, and you can see it, and tell me if you can hear. Can you hear what is about to be said? Can you hear it? Okay. 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 So that's one way, and if you you can listen to it yourself. Remember, it's on your resources tab, and you'll see it there. Also, if you wanted to do it another way, you can also take this and you copy and paste it. Just show you something. Just show you another way to do this. Okay. So then copy, and then open up a tab, put it in here, paste and go. And you'll see the same thing. And here difference is that you might not be able to hear what I'm about to play, but it also has closed caption in it too. So you can see it as well as hear it when you do it yourself. So anyway, I was just showing you that. But it's very important so you understand some of the things that are important is why we talk about citations and references, why APA is so important, and integrity is so important. And it also will keep you doing well in school and then in your future career as well. Now, before this welcome announcement, I'm only going to open it so that because you should have been able to read that. I do want to bring to your attention everything that you see that's highlighted. Make sure you take the time to learn about them, and you'll be able to do that. I'm going to talk about the syllabus, and I'm going to check the calendar. There is a section over general course questions, which you can ask a question that you want anybody to answer. Do not put personal information there. That comes in email. And then you know about the resources tab already. The report tab, that's where you get your grades. And then here's some more information about links. And then this reminds you of our lecture schedule and so forth. Okay. All right. So now, before I get to week 1 announcement, I want to come back and I want to go to the course calendar so you can see the schedule that you have. Notice this. We started classes Monday. If you click on this, it says details in see the week 1 announcement. Okay, you will be able to see that. And then, of course, your live lecture, which is where we are now. And then again, there's nothing else for that until you get to your written assignment, which is due Sunday, your quiz, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes, and then finally your live classroom lecture. Okay, so that's the way it's going to be. Now, notice this, and then we'll start next week with this. Notice that starting next week on Tuesdays and on Saturdays, your posts. Now, here's what I want to point out to you, and I'll do this every week. Notice the last day of class is the 9th. It is the 9th. The 9th. Okay? And that initial post and reply post will be due on that 9th, and the quarter ends. And then you'll also complete your quiz. If you submit it on the 10th, after 11:59 p.m. Central Standard, I cannot and will not give you points for it. Just can't. School won't let me. The time has ended. So be aware of that. All right. So you have access to this calendar and you can check it out yourself. All right. And so you'll be aware of the schedule. Let's go back to the course home page. But before we go to I want to go over the syllabus with you. The syllabus contains information about me, stuff here, instructor notes that you're already aware of from the course homepage. It tells you the textbook, which, by the way, each week I will send you the PowerPoints and some additional information. You guys should have received the PowerPoints for week 1. If you didn't receive the PowerPoints for week 1, let me know right now. But it's in your email. It's in your email for this course, and you should have seen that as well. So here are your requirements in the course. I already talked about discussions, so I'm not going to spend time on that. Your library sources, I showed you that under Resources tab. Now these are the requirements. You have your readings to do, which you'll see each Monday. Discussion assignments, which I already explained. Written assignments, and then your quizzes. Now, there'll be 6 quizzes that contain multiple choice and true-false questions. We're going to talk about that in detail, so don't ask questions about it, but these are the requirements for this course. All right, then you have your live classroom. So here's the deal. Discussions equal 150 points, assignments 280, quizzes 168, and then live lectures for a total of 628 points to get 100%. Now, here's what I want to announce to you right now. Never, you see, my goal is to get you honor roll or dean's list. A to A minus is honor roll. I'm sorry, dean's list. B plus and down is honor roll. Do not ask me how to get a C plus or C in my class. I refuse to answer that question for you because you can do that on your own. So don't send me a message, hey professor, what do I need to do to at least get a C? I'm not gonna answer that for you. You can go back and refer back to this recording and you'll hear me say that I told you, don't ask me. I don't produce C students, D students, and I definitely don't intend to produce F students. My goal is to produce A and B students. It is in your best interest, both to get your academics up, probably some of you to keep your financial aid and scholarships, but more importantly, to help you in the future when you get ready to apply for employment. I help students who work hard. I write letters for students. Even after class, I have students now that have reached back out to me years ago, and I reach out to them. And they stay in touch with me too through Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Richard Wright space JD, which I invite you, if you'd like to be my friend on Facebook, send me a friend request, and then I will accept it. And you'll learn a lot about me also, in addition to what you learned in that video. But don't ask me about how to get anything below a B. Matter of fact, if you follow the concepts of the rubric, you'll get A's and B's. All right. Here's something they added, accommodations. If you have an issue that under the ADA, Aid to Disabilities Act, that the school complies with, you can reach out to your campus accommodations coordinator to see if you have possible accommodations. And then that gives you like more time for tests, more time for discussion posts and everything else. But that's just one of the things that I had to make you aware of. Transferable skills. We call them transferable skills because they transfer out of college, out of the school, into the workplace. And so they've identified these transferable skills that we focus on in all classes and actually in our assignments. Communication, written and oral communication. I actually have a course that I help talk about that as well. It is so important that you understand that your written communication, your grammar, spelling, um, be, be perfect. I didn't say good, perfect, because I was a defense lawyer for many years, and I had individuals who were in criminal justice, law enforcement officers, and others who had to produce reports. And if I saw a typo in there, I would bring that out to them in front of the court or in front of the jury, and that person would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake." Magical words to a defense attorney's ears. And it also makes you look unprofessional in front of the trier of fact. So communication is very, 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 very important. You're going to have to reach out to people from various backgrounds. One of the most popular growing groups is Hispanic. Say, hablo poquito en español, which means I speak a little Spanish. You can be able to communicate or have someone to help you to communicate. So it's very important for communication. Critical thinking, I've already talked about. Digital fluency, I uh, show you again. Almost everybody has one of these things. It's a cell phone. I'm an Android person. Some of you are iPhone persons. Most young people are. But the point of the matter is your textbook, if you notice, it's digital. You hear me in my story talk about how I used to carry these big books. And man, when I was in law school, books were humongous. They were, we call them hernia creators. Well, I have my textbooks in my phone. I have them on my tablet, and I have them on the computer. So everything's digital. You have to be able to learn how to use Word docs. You have to learn how to use Grammarly, which you have a Grammarly account to run all of your papers through Grammarly. So that if you don't run your papers through Grammarly, you could end up messing up. Make sure you check the plagiarism box, because a high percentage on Grammarly tells me that you just copied and pasted a lot of that stuff. And you can offset that by more critical thinking. So you'll lose points and grades for that. And then also I'm obligated to report it to the school if you go over 25%. Diversity and teamwork. Diversity is so important to us in this country. I'm very happy that um, the administration that's coming in has demonstrated diversity in their cabinet. But we here at this school been demonstrating diversity for years and years. We have people from various backgrounds teaching, various cultures teaching. We have students from various cultures and different sexual preferences. We have different religious beliefs, political beliefs. So we deal with diverse, and you're going to deal with diverse people in your profession or in anything that you do. We are a melting pot, and we have to learn to respect each other. Like for example, during the holidays that just passed, there are people that used Happy Holidays. Well, I use Merry Christmas because that's my Christianity, but I don't try to offend people with it, but I respect their friend of my friends. I have my Jewish friends, which I learned about because I came out of a big Jewish law firm. Hanukkah, I know all about how that works. Um, and I know about things like Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah. I understand all of that. Uh, just don't invite me to the brisk. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. If you're in a Jewish background, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So anyway, bar mitzvahs, I've been to plenty of them. Those will get you fat though. But anyway, different kind of cultures. Kwanzaa, and you name it. We just have to recognize and respect people. When people talk about pride for themselves, like I remember in the 60s, Black Power was the phrase. Some people used to say that that was a radical phrase. It's not. It's no more radical than Polish power or Italian power or Hispanic power. And so we learn to appreciate each other and our different views and cultures. We learn to coexist. At least we ought to learn how to coexist. Judging from what happened today, we have a lot of work ahead of us. But the point of the matter is that it is important for you to recognize diversity. I am a member of the Diversity and Inclusion Council here at the college, and I speak publicly about diversity. I talk to students who want to go to schools, who want to go to schools that have diverse student populations, which is a good thing because you live in a diverse population. Then there's teamwork. You're going to work in teams. You're going to work with people from all backgrounds. You're going to work with people, like as a lawyer, I worked with paralegals before I became one. I worked with um, probation officers, parole officers, investigators, detectives, forensic people. You're going to work with various people, accountants. So you're going to work on medical examiners. So you're going to have teams to put together how you work and do your job. Ethics. Well, we started talking about that earlier, but ethics is so important. People, let me tell you something. Truth does not have an S on it. Did you hear me? Truth does not have an S on it. Try saying out of your mouth the word truths. It's hard to say because your mouth is not, truth does not have an S on it. Okay? Truth is not relative. Some people say one man's truth is not, no, truth is truth. Okay? But lies, look at how it rolls off. So when you're dealing with ethics, you don't want to deal with lies. You want to deal with truth. I remember people raising their right hand to do solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, none but the truth, so help them God, as a lawyer, and then proceed to lie. But that can have criminal repercussions like perjury and things like that. So ethics is so important. It can cost you your professional careers. It can cost you your opportunities to work, and then it can also cost you educationally, as we've discussed already. Now, one of the things that I want you to pay close attention to, and you'll see at the end here about that. And then professional responsibility. All organizations, as a lawyer, we had a canon of ethics. Accountants, police officers, everybody has a professional responsibility you want to follow. And then information literacy, we've talked about that as well. So these are skills that transfer out of school into your real world. Attendance, you check that out yourself. The late assignment policy. Students, listen to this. And somebody says, well, what's the late assignment policy? I'm showing it to you right now. It's right there. Caption, late assignment submission policy. You can submit your assignments up to 7 days late. Now, that doesn't apply to discussion posts. I already talked about that. 7 days late, but each day you will lose 10%. So let me give you an example. Let's say Sunday your assignments are due. And the reason why I say let's say Sunday is because that's when they are, except the last day of class. So your paper is perfect. You've satisfied the requirements of the rubric. You're set for 100. If you send that same paper on Monday, it's a 90. If you send it Tuesday, it's a 80. If you send it Wednesday, it's a 70. Thursday, it's a 60. So you're only on the 6th day, but I'm not the 6th day, you're only about the 5th day. So the point of the 4th day, you run into a problem each day you lose. And so you'll lose points. Okay? So that's something that the school has set out, and that is it. So now, here's something I want to bring to your attention. The third paragraph, which is one line. So that you know, don't come to me and tell me my dean says, my academic advisor said that you should do this. No, because what they will tell you and should properly say is that instructors can waive late penalty in the case of extenuating circumstances. And then again, it ends as determined by the faculty. That would be me. So it is very important for you to understand that if you want to get that information, you have to go through me. I've already given you a way to reach me to let me know. I am very flexible with that, dealing with that. Students who've had me before know me and understand that I am very liberal when it comes to that. My goal is to help you as much as possible. And I will waive late penalties. But extenuating circumstances determined on a case-by-case basis. Please don't come to tell me that your extenuating circumstances is that you had to work overtime. That's not going to be good enough unless you are in a category like you're a first responder, or you work at a hospital, or something along those lines. Even some grocery store situations apply now because of the pandemic. There's a whole lot of things, but let me decide based on it. But there's a whole lot of things. I am really, really fair in terms of helping. Okay. The rest of this stuff you don't have to worry about. You can look at, in no circumstances may a student submit work after the last day of class unless an incomplete grade has been requested and granted beforehand. By the way, who do you think you have to request, and who has the authority to grant incompletes? Take a guess. Yeah, me. That's right. The instructor. And now what'll happen is that your advisor or somebody else will send me a message or either tell you, hey, let's see if we can give them that. And then I will do that. The only time that we have situations where it goes beyond that is like when we have major catastrophic situations like hurricanes or tornadoes. And then also we have been also told to be very flexible when COVID has to do with, well, that's a natural thing for me to do that anyway. But the point of the matter is yes, I need to know. I'm not, you gotta, and please don't come to me in week 5 and you haven't done assignments for week 3, 2, 1 and say, I need an incomplete. I'm not gonna do it. You'll see also I have a cutoff point for weeks 1 to 3, and we'll talk about that when we get to the appropriate time. Then the incomplete policy, you can read that yourself. And then the academic integrity policy as well. Okay. So that's the syllabus. So I've taken the time to go over that. I will not be going over that each week. So now let's go back to the course homepage. And remember I said pay close attention to your announcements that are found on your course homepage. So this week, the topic is given first: Corrections in America History and Theory. And chapters 1, 2, and 3 of your textbook. Again, I previously sent you the corresponding PowerPoints and additional information to help you as well. All right. And then there's sections about transferable skills, introduction, for correction opponents, jails and prisons, probation and parole, the evolution of corrections, and a vocabulary review. And then this tells you about this paragraph about the lecture schedule. It says here, there is no discussion assignment this week. They begin next week. And then your quiz. We're going to talk about that in a minute, and the written assignment components of corrections. That is due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then this gives the schedule for today's lecture. And then this tells you to start strong and finish strong. And then it shares with you my motto: adversity is the springboard to success, where I told you could learn more about it by looking at that. And so each week you'll see at least one announcement. So now let's delve into the assignments for this week to help you out. So your written assignment is components of corrections. Now, I'm going to tell you, there are only 4 components of corrections. Law enforcement is not one of them. Courts is not one of them. Jails, prisons, probation, and parole. So in this assignment, you're going to explain the functions of these 4 components. Jails, you're going to discover, are short-term holding, where people are usually held for misdemeanors and or awaiting trial. Prisons is where you go after you've been found guilty or pled guilty for periods of time, and the period of time for prisons is a year or over, or if you've committed a felony and found guilty or pled guilty. So if you ever ask, how do you know if a crime is a felony or a misdemeanor? If it's sentenced for under a year, it's a jail. If it's over a year, it's prisons. Probation is an opportunity where you're assigned to a probation officer and you do not go to jail. So it gives you a second chance. It gives you a chance to function in society with the restrictions that the probation officer and the court sets out for you. Parole, on the other hand, you do go to prison and then you are released before your time is up to complete your time outside in the public. Okay, and you have a parole board that determines that, and then a parole officer who is assigned to you that monitors you just like the probation officer did. So you're going to describe 2 unique elements for each component. Present content in visual font, an organization to engage the reader, professional language, and so forth. So this is going to be like it's an infogram. But remember one thing, it doesn't have to be infographic, but it does need to be in a form that is Word. It has to be a Word document. Do not send me a PowerPoint. Do not send me a PDF. You will get a 0. Did you hear me? fact, all your written assignments should be Word documents. Okay, and then it tells you here, if you have problems, you can get a tutor to help you. Now, let's look at the rubric for week 1. Reminds you when the due date is, and you click on here to view the rubric. And here is what it does. Now, here's what I want to point out to you, and I want you to learn this. You see the 4 columns? If you notice, from emerging to mastery is 9 points. So you want to, here's the way I teach. This column, this column, this column, ignore it. Don't even pay attention to what's in there. Pay attention to this column. Act as if these other columns don't exist, as if I put a big X across it, because you want to satisfy the requirements here. Notice it says through supporting details and examples. You want to make sure you have citations in the body and references at the end. So the function of the components. So you have to first deal with the components. I already told you what they were. Unique elements of the components. And you're going to do this. Remember the information. Where do you get the information that you utilize that? Cite your source. And then presentation, colors, fonts, the organization engaged the reader free from errors and spelling. Remember, APA is applicable. Okay? I already told you about APA and how it works. Don't come saying, oh, it wasn't in the rubric. All assignments. So it doesn't have to be in there. But here's something that you should be aware of. You are not an authority on what you write about. Even I am an authority on it, but even if I'm writing a paper or something, I give credit to sources and conduct research to support the statements that I include in my papers or writings. So it is so important. Students leave out the APA citations and they end up over here. They end up over here. Incomplete explanations. Incomplete, you know. And don't just throw a gratuitous citation in there. Let your citation support the information that you get. Any questions? Any questions? I guess not. I see none. Okay. Remember what I said. Act as if these other 2 columns, other 3 columns, okay, don't exist. Concentrate on this. I can tell you, you might not always get an A if you're mostly in this column, but you won't get a C or D. So you might get a B. But the point of the matter is you got to aim for excellence. That's what you will hear me say in my story. Okay. So each week I will go over that. But remember, I'm going to ask you, which column is the one I want you to focus on? And that's mastery. Okay. So now let's go to the next assignment. And the next assignment is a quiz. Now, this is unique in this class, for me anyway. This quiz, as I told you, contains multiple choice and true-false questions. It is timed for 30 minutes. But you have not 1, not 2, but 3 opportunities to complete it before the due date. So when is the due date? Somebody tell me, what's the due date? for quizzes? Sunday. Sunday. So if you do two on the week before Sunday is over, and then you do one on Monday, the one on Monday is not going to be counted. And then the highest one of the other two will be your final grade. But if I had 3 bites of the apple, you know, but I give you enough information. And incidentally, this is a closed book exam. Remember, it says, by starting this quiz, you abide by the academic misconduct policy. Do not use your notes. Do not use your textbook. Do not use your PowerPoints. It will catch up with you. Again, very important. All right. And that's when you'll have these quizzes. And then your live classroom lecture is the other thing that you provide. And so those are the assignments for the week. Any questions about any of the assignments? Okay. So now let's go, and I'm just going to glean over this because I'm not going to spend much time because I'm not going to hold you much longer. Each week. So here we have transferable skills, the 4 correctional components, prisons and jails, probation and parole, the evolution of corrections, and then there's a review to get you ready for the quiz. We already talked about these, but if you want to learn more, you can click on each of these, and it goes more into details about what I talked about each of these 6 transferable skills already. And then here's a little video that tells you a little bit about it as well. The 4 correctional components, we've already talked about what those are. Jails, probation, parole, and prison. And then you're going to you can take the time and go over these little exercises and help you as well. And you can read about jails, I don't know what. Okay. I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. It's supposed to open. Oh, I see what those are the pictures. So don't worry about it. But anyway, the information that's given for each topic, you go down, you deal with jails, you deal with prisons, you deal with probation and parole. All right. And then there's this thing called determinate and indeterminate sentencing. Illinois is a determinate sentencing jurisdiction. Each jurisdiction is different. And it explains in the determinate that the court gives a set sentence and is calculated by days and months and years. Indeterminate, a range is given, and then the parole authority determines within that range when to release an individual. Okay, so this is actually from your textbook. You got this information as well. And then these you can drag and drop. Okay, now I'm just gonna show you how this works. This is pretty cool. Sentences are 1 year or less. Goes on jail or prison. Sentences that are at least a year and a day. operated at federal and state level, can also be privately run. Other often includes options for bail or conditional release. Houses people pre-trial and has a booking process. By the way, just if you try to put it over here, it won't fit. If you put it over here, it sticks. Typically, the jurisdiction of the sheriff. Yep, again, you try to put it over here, it won't. And so that's it. So those are things that help you. And then you can go and you can do the next thing. All right. And then the evolution of corrections. You can actually look at that one as well. Let's see. Click the evolution of corrections link above. And it takes you and it shows you. And there you go. Then you can view the timeline. I'm just going to click on it to show you how to do it. And then if you click on this, it explains it. And then this, and this, and this, and this. And then you go to the next one. So these are tools that help you as well. Okay. Then your vocabulary review. Now, this is something that you'll want to probably become familiar with before you take your quiz. Start the quiz. This is non-graded. So what you do is you match these. So match the following items with their description. So social control fits under the first, second, or third one. Okay. Law of retaliation, the principle that punishment should correspond in degree in kind. And then next one, let's see how you did. Yep, and it tells you that. If you did the wrong one, it'll tell you that too. So those are things that can help you to get ready for your quiz. Okay. Any questions? No questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a key phrase or a word. Make it pretty easy on you the first week. Corrections. That's it. Give me that in the Dropbox for your points that you need. Okay? So with that, I'm going to say good night to you guys. I encourage you to stay safe. Remember, this pandemic is out here. It is no joke. It's killing young people. It's killing middle-aged people. It's killing old people. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much education you have. Just be safe. Be safe. And I encourage you to be smart in terms of dealing with it at the same time. All right, so I will look to see you guys next Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. In the meantime, you know what you need to do. If you need to reach me, be sure that you get your assignments done. And remember what I said about the importance of that right column of the rubric. So I'm going to say good night to each of you. And thanks for coming out tonight. See you next week.